Hey guys, it's Sir Pent. I was reading through some of H.P. Lovecraft's short stories, and I couldn't help but notice that a lot of what makes his works fun and the slightest bit nightmare-inducing is having knowledge of the subject matter before you read them. Otherwise, you're just as absolutely dumbstruck and confused as someone trying to read Clockwork Orange without the glossary. A task so daunting, it puts a lot of people off their first time. So, I decided I'd build a primer, starting with the Esoteric Order of Dagon, a cult that pops in and out of Lovecraft's works. I feel like it builds a good foundation for us to build off of from here on out. So, let us begin. The Esoteric Order of Dagon is a cult founded by Captain Obed Marsh in H.P. Lovecraft's 1931 novella, The Shadow over Innsmouth. Captain Marsh founded this cult using the practices he witnessed on a Polynesian island. Under the order of Captain Marsh, the people of Innsmouth performed ritual sacrifice in order to appease the Deep Ones so that they may continue to provide gold to the town and keep the fisheries plentiful, which did bring temporary relief to the financial issues the town faced. Members of the Esoteric Order of Dagon had to make 3 oaths. Number 1, an oath to secrecy. Number 2, an oath to loyalty. And number 3, an oath to either bear or sire a Deep One child. In true Lovecraftian fashion, the Deep Ones are a race of horrible fish people who live in the depths of the sea and act as intermediaries between the Order of Dagon and a selection of gods that they worship, as opposed to being gods themselves. The gods in question are Father Dagon, Mother Hydra, and Cthulhu. The Deep Ones are described as being man-fish hybrids, sharing traits of both. They have bluish-gray skin, webbed fingers and toes, gills, and heads that resemble fish heads in a variety of ways, including large toothy mouths and big unblinking eyes. It is also important to note that the Deep Ones live a very long time, and like many sea creatures, they do not stop growing throughout their entire adult lives. The Shadow over Innsmouth is not the first time we see a Deep One, however. From what I have read, it is the first time they are mentioned by name. The first appearance of a Deep One is in Dagon, one of Lovecraft's first stories written as an adult. Having been written in 1917, it takes place during the Great War, as it is referred to in text, or as it is more commonly known, World War I. Having had his ship taken by Germans while he was at sea, the narrator manages to escape his captors and finds himself adrift for days, eventually awakening to find himself half stuck in the muck of a marsh. Exploring the marsh, the narrator eventually stumbles upon a large stone monolith, covered in carvings of aquatic life, fish, octopi, and the like. This, while interesting, was not what caught the attention of the narrator. Around the monolith were sculptures and bas-reliefs of grotesque fishmen, which he determined to have been carved by some primordial hominid, older than both humans and Neanderthals. He noticed that some sculptures were of these fishmen fighting whales, which were only barely larger than the fishmen themselves. His time to gaze at the sculptures was soon cut short by a large fishman, as was depicted in the sculptures, rising from the water and approaching the monolith. The creature spreads its arms around the monolith, beginning to pray. The sight of this drove the narrator mad, as is expected when you witness something large and nasty shumbling out of the muck, sending him reeling back to his boat where he passed out, after which he woke up in a hospital with no memory of having arrived. Due to the name of this particular story, the creature is mistaken by first-timers as Father Dagon. However, it was just a deep one praying to its gods. Father Dagon is as a god to the Deep Ones, due to his great size and power. As he is referenced in many texts, he is thought to be immortal, together with his consort Mother Hydra and Cthulhu. They make up the trio that the Esoteric Order of Dagon worship. Father Dagon, while he is the subject of worship by many, and while he lends his names to one of Lovecraft's works, he isn't the most interesting of Lovecraft's great old ones. There isn't much to say about him aside from the fact that he is thought to receive his power from the star spawn of Cthulhu, a group of alien life forms interesting enough to write an entire episode about. They have a tendency to empower select members of certain species. Nobody actually knows why they do this, as they don't make a habit of sharing their reasons. Father Dagon's consort, Mother Hydra, isn't really that special, aside from her being huge and immortal. It's unknown whether she is an actual great old one like Father Dagon, or if she is just a horribly mutated deep one, as she doesn't have much in the way of the typical powers found in great old ones. In conclusion, the Esoteric Order of Dagon was eventually thought to be disbanded after one of Captain Obed Marsh's descendants sent the U.S. Treasury to seize Innsmouth. However, as there is another sect left standing in New Orleans, it is likely we haven't heard the last of them.